Hey guys, on this week's episode we're getting the first inspections done on the new A31 Cefiro. So let's get started and I'll walk you through what we're looking at and what we're looking for. So the first job I do when I buy a new car, especially if it's going to be track focused, is to get underneath it and have a look at everything from outboard to inboard. So I can see here lower control arm bush is a bit knackered, tie rod's looking okay though on the other side, and it also gives you a chance to lubricate all the threads so that when you do go to get a wheel alignment and all that sort of stuff, you can obviously adjust it easy. I'm spotting this, which I'm not liking, so obviously needs those removed in the new wheel balance. Looking for leaks in the shock, which it does look like we've got some shock leaks. This concerns me, so potential leak in the brake lines there. So that's also not good. Also gives you a chance to do little jobs like make sure all the intercooler piping's all buttoned up correctly. Let you check for damage. So what I did is actually went under the car with degreaser and a scrubbing brush and I've just scrubbed everything. So looking for damage as well. So that's another one. Seeing how everything is being mounted. The traction rod arms, bushes look okay in there. Sway bar bushes look good as well. And we're going to have a look at the rack and then obviously checking for any chassis damage. It's got a few bumps and dents, but overall it's pretty honest, nothing that's really concerning me too much. Give you the belt to check, which you can obviously do from above as well. Another thing, especially here in Thailand, is looking for loose connectors. So is anything dangling down? Has anything got oil or stains on it that it shouldn't have? And then also jacking up each wheel and just looking at the articulation, wobbling movements, anything hanging up. And then obviously for this car, first thing I did was jacked up the car from the diff, not from the body. And whoop, first thing we saw was the rear subframe bushes were they were not attached to the car at all. So that is telling me what the clunk is in the back end, which is actually quite good because it gives me a chance to put some pineapples in there, some urethane subframe bushes. And then the first thing I'm going to have to figure out or decide is which direction do they go in? They're up or down? Am I going to look for grip or am I going to look for drift? That's what we're unsure of. It's going to be a track thing or a drift car. Also brake pads while you're at it as well. Okay, so it seems to have passed the crash test. Another thing you want to look at obviously when you've got an engine swap is how has the engine mounts been done. That's another key thing, and are they square onto the subframe, making sure you're looking at all that. Gearbox mounts I'm not real happy with. I would have liked to have seen a bit more. It's quite okay, so from the back it's quite solid across there, but in here, if you can see, I would have liked to have seen that attached a bit better, but it does have bracing right across there, so it's not too bad. Nothing jumping out of me. The exhaust mounted like this isn't my great preference. The other one is obviously a custom drive shaft, is having a look at how the drive shafts, center joints and everything clearing underneath as well. Finally, another important one is how all the fuel lines have been routed, so making sure that everything is tucked up under the chassis rails. So obviously this thing's going to be getting a little bit of love, so making sure that nothing's going to get crushed and start squirting the flammables everywhere. So yeah, so far all we've got to do is just make sure all the intercooler piping's buttoned up, give the threads a little bit of a spray with WD-40, give the toe arm threads and everything, it's adjustable, and suspension a spray with WD-40. No structural rust, no major crash damage, so looking pretty good. Nothing was hanging down or exposed that shouldn't be. All the engine mounts were nice and solid, and gearbox mount could do with maybe a little bit more welding, but not too bad. Definitely needs the rear end sorted out, so needs some new bushes there. And yeah, other than all that, nothing too, standing out as being too dangerous. A little bit of seeping from the brake lines, not real happy with that. So some braided lines and some decent next to brake pads for the track are going to go in the car anyway, so that's one of the first jobs, so that should be good. So yeah, passes its health check with flying colours, pretty happy. New bushes in the sway bars, which is good. Lower control arms need redoing, but so yeah, when we get the rear subframe out, I want to put some pineapples in there. Don't know if we're going to go solid or urethane. Still got to decide whether we're going to have them set up for grip or for drift. We're going to change, get the diff taken out, get the backlash reset and everything, and then use some special 2A LSD oil with some friction modifiers, which can sometimes change characteristics or get rid of some clunking, and that should take care of the back end as well. I think I'm probably going to take out the Buddy Club coilovers and get them revalved and regassed as well, which isn't too expensive job here, and that just makes sure that all the bushes in the car are new and it's doing what it's supposed to do. And also, yeah, as we said before, braided lines and next to pads.
And you can see what I'm talking about here. Check the rear of the car up. See that? I reckon all that's going to be the subframe moving around. So some new bushes as well in there.
So having a look under the back, noticing the tab for the exhaust, which I don't really think that's a good way to hang an exhaust anyway. We'll have a look at the diff bushes. It seems like the back hasn't had as much love as the front. Obviously subframe bushes are gone. We do have rear spacer for the shock mount. All the nuts seem to be tight. See what the bush is like. Seems pretty knackered. Gone. Rear sway bar bushes, not looking great, but I'm also not seeing any hikers or anything, and everything on the rear subframe looks to be nice and straight. So again, no crash damage, which is what we're looking for out of this thing. I'm seeing 3 bolts there, maybe I should be seeing 4. I'm seeing some weird spacer plate up here that I've got to have a look at. But other than that, there's nothing too funky that's sticking out as me as being alarming, which is good. Again, probably got some leaks coming from the suspension. Seeing a lot of oil and grease up around here as well, so we'll suss that out too. Final check is the fuel tank, and straps all nice and tight, nothing banging or crashing, and yep, she looks good, so passes the test.